Hey guys, what's going on, and welcome back to a brand new video. And today it is going to be a personal favourite of mine because we are going to be recreating Sir Alex Ferguson's 4-4-2, the best manager in the world, in my opinion, to ever do it in football at all. Obviously, quite a well-known formation as well. But this is going to be a good video, trust me. We tested it with Manchester United's current team and also a database on 1992. Going forward, so a lot of legends you're going to see obviously back in time actually on the main screen. But if you guys do enjoy these tactic videos, please do leave a like on this one, be sure to comment on what tactic you want to see next, and please do subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. There's quite a few of you guys that watch but aren't subscribed, and subscribing is completely free. It helps the channel grow massively and it does mean a lot. But let's break down this tactic. So we can see the big man here. Obviously we're in charge for this one purely because obviously we have to be to obviously make the tactic, etc, etc. But what I think about of Manchester United, the first thing I think about when you talk about Manchester United is Sir Alex Ferguson. He made the club probably to where it is today in terms of like how much success they actually had. Obviously, in my opinion, he is the best manager to ever do it, purely because I know you've got your Pep Guardiolas now, you've got your Jurgen Klopps, but if you look at Pep Guardiola, he's a fantastic manager, he is, but what Ferguson was able to do with a team which, you know, at one point didn't spend hardly anything, to be honest. You know, we were winning Premier Leagues with like Anderson in midfield with Cleverley, and I just don't think there's any manager that can do that. I think he had a certain way with the players. You hear all types of stories about what he done behind the scenes as well. Like he had a lot of the Manchester bouncers on nightclub doors on his payroll to see if any players were out clubbing. Then he could obviously punish them. What he'd do to win a game went way beyond turning up for training and actually turning up to a game. It went way beyond it. And I don't think there's any manager that has that commitment now. Obviously, there's still very good managers about, but I genuinely think this guy is the best to do it. And comfortably, to be honest, in my opinion. But a little bit about the 4-4-2 then. Obviously, sometimes it could also be a 4-3-3 because you did have that sort of front three going at them. But traditionally, a 4-4-2 is how we'd lay up, or how we'd set up the team, sorry. And the attack would just have endless freedom. A player which I always think about, and this is a slightly more modern player compared to some of the players we're going to be talking about. But if you look at the likes of Nani, Luis Nani, obviously, he did struggle with a bit of inconsistency, couple of injuries, but the amount of freedom he had to sort of do what he wanted on that left-hand side of the park, skill everyone, do what he wanted to do, and still never really saw us to be that vulnerable with him playing like that at all. It always worked, and it's not just him. You also look at the front too. They could, in reason, not do what they want, like as in, you know, that sounds bad, but in reason, they could do what they wanted, and it worked really well, giving them the freedom to sort of link up how they wanted to. Obviously, they did also have their pressing duties. It isn't all about just getting the ball, doing what you want, and then switching off. But giving them that freedom, I think, genuinely helped a lot because you had so many talented players on the left, whether that was Ryan Giggs or going even back in time further than that, or going slightly more modern era to where I just talked about the likes of Nani and things like that. And obviously, if you look at, you know, one of the latest striker partnerships we had, which was obviously going to be Van Persie and Rooney, until Rooney obviously dropped back more into a midfield role. That partnership there was pretty reliant on freedom because a lot of the link-up play probably wouldn't have happened if it wasn't down to them being able to, in reason, roam where they want to in that front area of the pitch. But going into the midfield, obviously, it's going to be a two in midfield. Traditionally, there was always one that sort of was a little bit deeper than the other. Not too much, but again, with this system, it's not a tiki-taka system. A lot of the goals that you'll see from United do look like counter-attacks, and a lot of them balls over the top did come from the midfield. If you guys strike back to when Robin Van Persie scored that volley against Aston Villa, I believe it was Wayne Rooney that plucked the ball, but that was actually just inside their half. It was very far out, and it was a long ball over the top. So them two in midfield do play a crucial role. One, in winning the ball back, two, controlling the game, and three, most importantly, just getting the ball out to the wing or getting the ball over the top. Like I said, as successful as this is, football was a lot different back in the day. It wasn't all about playing out from defence, passing short 1-2 passes. Like I said, I would probably describe this as a little bit of a counter-attacking system. Not like negative where they defend for 80 minutes and then get a counter-attacking goal. But the way that they broke on teams, where they broke on teams, was very direct, to be honest with you. And going over to probably is one of the most memorable parts of the Manchester United team when Alex Ferguson was in charge would be the back line. Obviously, we're going to talk about the centre-backs more than anyone. If you remember that partnership of Rio Ferdinand and the manager Vidic, one of the best partnerships, if not the best partnership the Premier League has ever seen. Rio Ferdinand was that centre-back who was still very, very good at defending, but was a little bit more expressive on the ball, a little bit more confident playing it about, whether that be directly over the top or short passes. And then he was always part of the next to Vidic. That's one of the few teams I've seen where there were so few injuries, you'd pretty much always see the same back four out every single week. And what a player Vidic was. He was sort of the hard man in the team. He was the brick wall. He wasn't really that amazing on the ball in terms of like, you know, his passing ability was decent, but compared to nowadays, he wouldn't be anything special in that regard. But he went on the occasional drive. Obviously, him and Rio Ferdinand both are lethal from set pieces into the box as well. And I just think this team and the tactic had it pretty much nailed on the head, how to play and just how to win games, as you can see by the amount of success that Manchester United did have. And if you look where they are now, you know, it shows how good we actually had it for that amount of time, because we were dominant in world football for quite some time. But let's get into the first tactic test, which is going to be on a 92 database. So let's get into that now and see how we done. This is going to be the results then from the 92 database. Obviously playing 42 games in the Prem back in the day, winning the FA Cup against Sheffield as well. Runners up in the Champions League, but we did lose to Milan, obviously that being AC Milan. And if you guys aren't aware how good their team was back in the day, it was absolutely outrageous. Obviously, you're looking at Van Basten, you're looking at Hollett in the middle, Ricard, Baresi, Maldini, and many more names. Too many names to mention, to be honest. Their team was absolutely incredible. And obviously, back in the day, Italian football was pretty much on the same level as English football in terms of the quality of players they had. If not some points, probably even more sort of well-known players over there. But I'm not too disappointed with how this went, because we won the Premier League against what is a very strong Arsenal side as well. Let's not forget that. A very strong Arsenal side there. And obviously, we won it by quite a convincing amount of points. 112 to 85. Obviously, Sheffield United isn't an easy final back in the day as well, because they've actually got quite a good team. We ranked best, scoring 154 goals and only conceding 36 as well. If we go into what is going to be some of the stats then, got 71 goals coming from Mark Hughes. What an absolute legend he is. Dion Dublin coming in with 48 goals, 23 for Pallister, Lee Sharp coming in with 22, Dennis Irwin coming in with 20, 16 for Conneclius, 15 coming in for Ince, Giggs coming in with 9 goals. Look at these assists though from Giggs, 48 assists. The freedom, that's what I'm on about, guys. The freedom this tactic has is honestly incredible. 15 for Paul Ince, 20 for Irwin, 33 for Sharp, 19 for Dublin, and 14 for Mark Hughes. And if we go into some of the stats, then we'll go over the basics. Team attacking, we actually were scoring goals per game, 3.67. So on the higher end of the free scale, but we'll say 3 goals a game. The pass completion quite high as well. The shots on target ratio will always look quite low, but you don't have that work the ball into the box selected, which we didn't on this. And in terms of defending, under a goal a game. So, I mean, no wonder why we won so much. It's because we were scoring 3 goals a game and conceding on average less than a goal a game. Again, the tackle win ratio could have been arguably higher, but this tactic is sort of get stuck in. A lot of players do get stuck in. So you will see the occasional booking, as you did with the Manchester United team in real life back in the day. They weren't short of a yellow card in them, if we're being honest. But overall, I'm very happy with how this actually went. I've never tested with an old database, but I was a little bit confused about who to test with Alex Ferguson. Obviously, I could have went a few teams, but I wanted to stick with purely Manchester United. I knew one save wouldn't be enough, so I thought we'll switch it up. We'll use this database. If you guys do want the link to the database, I didn't make it. I'm not taking credit for it, but if you want it, comment below, and I'll make sure that I link it to you. It is fun to use. Obviously, you get to use a variety of different players. Like if we look up here, very weird to see. You obviously got the likes like Gary Neville, who's only 18 years old. So it's very weird to see all that type of stuff going on. It is quite fun to switch it up from playing with your modern players and all your regens. It is quite fun. But yeah, that is going to be the test for this. Let's go over to the modern Manchester United team and see how it compares. Before we do hop over to the modern Manchester United test though, please do leave a like on this video. I'm going to give you a couple of seconds. There we go. Perfect. And also, please do subscribe to the channel as well. It helps the channel grow, it helps the videos get found, and it just helps the channel in general, to be honest. Subscribing is completely free, and if you want to stay up to date on when I upload, when I live stream, etc., then please do turn on notifications. I'm also trying to interact with a lot of you guys on social media at the moment. A lot of people have been messaging me through Instagram. If you guys do want to message me on Instagram or Twitter, They are both in the description below. I love talking to you guys. Good way to ask for videos as well if you guys have got any ideas and stuff like that. But let's hop over to the Manchester United modern era save and see how we done. So, surprisingly, and I say surprisingly just because of how United are at the moment, we pretty much won everything possible. We won the Premier League convincingly. We won the Champions League against Bayern. We won the FA Cup against Liverpool. And we won the Carabao Cup against Tottenham. Scoring 123 goals, only conceding 25, and Ronaldo scoring 74 goals. I think that's 3 times I've tested with United, and he's scored above 70 goals. The guy is an absolute animal on this game. Shame about his attitude in real life, but in this game, he is honestly nuts for 1 to 2 seasons before he has a slow decline. But what a season that is, obviously winning the quadruple in the season. And if we go over some of the stats, it's going to be outrageous. We're obviously going to have 74 goals from Ronaldo, 38 for Rashford, going to be 24 for Varane. Obviously, this is quite reliant on set pieces, this system as well. So be sure to, you know, get some big boys in the box for that one. 22 for Sancho, 15 for Diallo, 10 coming in for Martial. In terms of assists, we've got 42 for Eriksen, which is outrageous. 20 for Diallo, 20 for Fernandes, who was playing in that slightly deeper role. 18 coming in for Sancho, 13 for Rashford, and 11 for Ronaldo. And in terms of the data hub, they're going to have slightly less goals per game. I would argue that this nowadays, there's probably more competitive teams about, to be honest. So that's probably why we didn't score as many goals. But still above 3 goals a game. Pass completion nearly at high 80s. I was going to say 90, but 87% on the pass completion as well. And in defending terms, lower than what I expected. 0.6 goals conceded a game, so, you know, less than a goal a game. 3 goals again scored per game. Tackle win ratio roughly the same. Good amount of clearances made per game as well. A few fouls, but that is to be expected in this system. But I am really happy with how this has gone, guys. With 2 saves, the stats are quite similar, which is a good sign. And obviously we won a lot more in terms of trophies on this save, but overall the tactic was pretty much similar across 2 different saves with completely different teams. Although they're the same club, the teams were completely different in terms of the players that we had available to us. I genuinely think this team, or this tactic, could be used with pretty much every team that you want to test it with, whether that be a lower league side, a giant side. Obviously, just because it's quite well balanced, it's sort of like, you don't have to have the most technical minded players in the centre of the park. You can have 2 absolute units if you wanted to. I just think the way that it scores goals, pretty much any team can do. Obviously, the better players you have, the better you'll do. But I do think this tactic is usable for pretty much any team. But let's go in to a little bit of 2D analysis. We're going to pick out a game and see how this actually works. So, this is the game I've picked out. It's going to be what was a 5-0 win against Chelsea FC. And the stats were honestly incredible in our favour as well. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how this sort of pictures, just how it is in a game here. And then we're going to watch the goals, because that's the part I really want to show you guys. So, obviously, you're going to have your back 4 here. I didn't talk too much on the fullbacks, did I, at the start? The fullbacks in this system do get forward. They're obviously not as traditionally getting forward as like your Trents and your Robertsons and stuff like that, but they do get involved. But they also do have a big part, obviously, in the defending duty. They definitely did have a little bit of freedom, but nowhere near as much as what you see in the modern day. And then you've got your 2 in midfield. Obviously, it doesn't really show it here, but Bruno Fernandes, when this game does kick off, will sort of drop down here. And this Eriksen will just be a little bit ahead of him. Not too much, just one of them a little bit more deeper than the other. You've then got, in this game, you've got Amad Diallo on the right-hand side. You've then got Sancho on this left-hand side, with Ronaldo and also Rashford up front. So let's get into the goals then, and we can actually see how we score some goals. So, starts off with Maguire into Varane at the back, plays the ball into Eriksen, who looks for that long ball over the top. And this is what I was saying. Them two players in midfield are so important, because they're the ones that see these balls over the top. And that is why there's so many chances and goals that do go in, because it's not all about finding them short passes. As soon as that ball got into Eriksen here, they give him way too much time. Ronaldo had already got him behind, and I believe he is onside. And this is what I mean. He's ahead of literally everyone and tucks it in the right-hand side. And it's an easy goal to put us 1-0 up there. We then go again here with Rashford. Quite impressive, to be fair, from number 36, who I can't see who it is. But Rashford does get there first. Back into Eriksen, who looks for that ball over the top. And again, this is the getting behind sort of, mentality of the side. Amad Diallo was actually level with him, but he saw Eriksen pick up the ball and instantly has beaten number 28, which is going to be Aspilicueta. There's only going to be one winner in that race, and that is going to be Diallo picking up that ball on this right-hand side, goes with it and tucks it into the bottom left. A fantastic finish from him to make us 2-0 up. We then have a set piece coming, which I did want to include one because there is quite a lot of goals come from set pieces. This was a bit of a scrappy one though. So Eriksen puts the ball in into Ronaldo. Actually comes off Mendy, but it's going to be Varane who's in the box. Obviously, he is the more sort of expressive one of the two. Obviously, I was saying the more expressive one. Then you got your sort of cement block, your Vidic. Varane was in the box, ready for the tap in, and he gets it. Then going to be Brandon Williams with the ball here into Rashford. Takes his time with this one into Bruno, back into Martial again. So you do see some bit short pass and play coming in, but it is very rare that you'll get a goal which is like a Barcelona Pep Guardiola style goal. There's going to be Martial with the ball here, plays the ball over the top into Ronaldo, and that's easy pickings. Again, we're talking about Martial, no disrespect to him, but obviously he's not the best passer of the ball. If you guys have got fantastic plays in every position, say if that was a midfield player, that pass would have been, well, I would say even better, but what I'm trying to say is the goals that this system creates you don't need to have incredible attributes on players to do it. I genuinely think this system would play well with a lower league side if you want to test it out with one. That's all I'm trying to say there. Martial with the ball here, and again, look at the space for Williams. This is what I mean by the fullbacks getting involved. So we've got Varane, we've got Maguire back here. We've also got the deeper midfield player, which is going to be Bruno Fernandes. And what I'm hoping is we're going to see number 6 sort of get into this box or get into this area here. So let's play it then. So Eriksen, you can see him, he's making the run here, He'll probably end up about here, I imagine. Yep, he does. Loads of space here. Brandon Williams now can either play a direct ball across here to will be Sancho if he can get there, or it might be worth cutting it back into Eriksen. And that is what he does, into Eriksen, and that is perfect. That is all I wanted you guys to see, is purely showing you how that one midfield player does get into the box when the other one sort of drops back a little bit. And Eriksen takes the shot, it gets blocked, we get a little bit lucky. Martial does get the deflection and gets the rebound, but that was a very comfortable game against one of the best teams in the Premier League. And I'm very happy about that last goal because it shows how important the midfield players are. They're not just there to win the ball back, but one of them does get involved in the attacks a lot, and the other one's always there on the edge to break up any type of play, any loose balls, etc, etc. But let's get into the most important part of the video. It's the part I know you guys come for. That is going to be the tactic breakdown. So let's get right into it. The mentality you want to have selected onto attacking, because Manchester United were an attacking side. It's all attack, attack, attack. I think that's a big part of what, we're missing at the moment sometimes, because we just don't look as confident as obviously what we were back in the day. In possession, then you want fairly wide on the width, pass into space, because that is where you see, all them passes getting played slightly ahead of them into the area of space. Play out of defence selected, standard on the directness, higher tempo, be more expressive, run out of defence, and play for set pieces. This is why my centre-backs were getting so many goals, because I knew I had good centre-backs, I knew the set pieces were good. Having this selected does help a lot. In transition, counter-press and counter-attack. Distribute quickly, distribute to any of the back line, because, like I said, it doesn't really matter which one it goes to, as long as it goes to someone across that back line. Out of possession, higher defensive line with the offside trap. There's no point having this on ticks. You need the higher defensive line and the offside trap as sort of a partnership. Standard on the line of engagement, use tighter marking, trigger presses on much more often, and prevent short goalkeeper distribution and get stuck in. Again, as I say in any of my tactics, Ferguson would, in my opinion, if I was to try and replicate him, which I am, this would be an option he'd have on. But if you guys do, you don't like getting bookings as often as what you're seeing, do just simply untick it, and that will save you a lot of bookings. But I'm a big fan of breaking up the play and taking bookings when it's needed to do so. And let's get into the player roles then. So, player roles. We'll start off with the goalkeeper. Fairly obvious, fairly basic. Just a sweeper keeper on defensive duty. Back in them sort of days, there wasn't many keepers that did come out of the box to clear and sweep. I just like having a sweeper on defend. Nothing special about him here. Nothing really selected which wouldn't be done anyway. Going over to the fullbacks, which are going to be on exactly the same instructions. So I'll show you one. That is going to be a wing back on the support duty. Basically, it means that they're going to do a lot of defending duties, but they will also get forward, as we did see with Brandon Williams. We're going to be balanced on the press, get further forward, run inside with the ball, run wide with the ball, shorter passing, and aim the crosses at the centre. Going over to the ball playing defender, which is going to be on the defensive duty as well. This is going to be a more expressive one. So when you're doing this, when you're testing this tactic, put the more comfortable player on the ball in this position, because he will be, the one playing a little bit more passing, whether that be over the top or shorter passing options. You want him balanced on the press, you want him shorter passing, and that is going to be everything for him. A lot of these don't need to be faffed about with when not needed. I feel like I'm guilty of it myself. Sometimes people and myself click loads of different stuff just to try and, you know, make it look a lot more complicated than what it needs to be. But reality, this back line is super basic, but as long as they do their job, you're going to get results. Moving over to the left-hand side then, central defender on defend duty. You want him on shorter passing, take fewer risks because you've already got one player who isn't told to take loads of risks, but possibly will take a few more. So tell him to be more resilient, just stay at the back and balanced on the press. Moving over to the two players in midfield, the heart of the midfield, you want one player here, which is going to be slightly deeper, a deep lying playmaker on the defend duty. You want him on balanced on the press, mark tighter, standard with the directness of passing, because this way you are going to see him play them long balls over the top, which we did see so often in them highlights. Onto the midfield player, the support one, which is going to be what we saw Ericsson play in. Now, this is the player which is going to get into the box, and this is why you need these instructions on. You want balanced on the press, mark tighter, tackle harder, get further forward, because this way he will get forward into that box, and that is how you get so many of these goals that happen. Standard with the directness of passing, and also dribble more selected. Going over to the left-hand side, which is actually going to be an inverted winger on support. You want him on balance, trigger press, mark tighter, get further forward just so he's not too deep on that left-hand side. Cut inside with the ball, standard with the directness of the pass, and that is going to be the left-hand side sorted. Moving on to the right is going to be an inside forward. I like this because, and you also saw it a lot back in the day, you have one player that was sort of out wide, but then you'd also have that one player that could go out wide and also put a ball in, that would also cut inside and cause loads of issues, which is where you hear sometimes the Manchester United front three. Because this player here also almost played sort of like here, which would sort of push them over a little bit, and it would look like a front three. But for him, you want him on balance, mark tighter, get further forward, cut inside with the ball, standard on the pass and directness, and that is going to be him. Now, I did mention there's quite a bit of pressing up top, so you need a pressing forward on the support duty. You want him on trigger press on much more often, hold up the ball, and standard with the pass and directness. And then you want one all-and-out goal scorer. Every tactic needs one. This was obviously our Ronaldo. You want an advanced forward on the attack duty, balanced on the press. Tell him to roam because they want that freedom. That freedom works so well in this side. Standard pass and directness, take more risks, and shoot more often. And this tactic, guys, honestly, is one of my favourite tactics I've made this entire year. Out of all the tactics I've made, this one was by far the most funnest one I've personally made. It took it took ages to make because I tried it in so many different varieties. I tried different roles, loads of different stuff, and wasn't getting results, or it didn't remind me of how we used to play. And I want to try and replicate it as much as I can. Obviously, it's going to be difficult to replicate it 100% because a video game is different to real life. But this is as close as what I can get it, and it is a real good tactic, guys. So please do give it a go. This tactic is always free. You can see it in the description below. All you need to do is click the download link, and it will literally go right to your PC in your download folder. You can click on this and go to load it up. It will translate everything. It will translate the all of this stuff. It will translate the player roles, literally everything. So it saves a lot of time. And yeah, that is going to be it, guys. But if you have enjoyed this video, please do leave a like on it. It really does help the video get found. And drop a comment below. Do you think Sir Alex Ferguson is the best manager, or was the best manager in football completely in the whole world? Let me know. But yeah, that is going to be it for today, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.